Another week, another scooter test. This week, I'll introduce you to a very friendly off-road scooter with a 1000 watt motor. The iScooter. I was really looking forward to the arrival of the iX6 because this scooter is basically the same as one of my favorites, the Leoti ES, tested years ago. But essentially, there are very important and fundamental differences between the two. Essentially, in this case, it means the screen itself, the stepper and the runner. The handlebar is exactly the same as it was with the ES8. Of course, these moments are quite significant in terms of the scooter's appearance. So if someone looks at it, looking at the ES8 and the iX6, you might think those two scooters are exactly the same. The most basic difference between the two scooters is that the ES8 had a 500 watt motor, whereas this scooter has a 1000 watt motor working in it. The battery is slightly larger too, because the previous solution had a 15A1, but this already includes a 17A1. It's also a very important difference that on the ES80 there were 10-inch wheels, but on the iX6 there are 11-inch wheels. It's important, not only because the wheel size has increased, but also because in this price range where you won't find the iX6 with 11-inch wheels. And of course, the bigger the wheel, the safer the scooter, the less likely it is to get stuck on the road. Arrows and other obstacles make it easier to go up a curb. Overall, there's not much difference in appearance between the 11 and the 10. But from a usability standpoint, it's bigger. I love the ES8 because it was a very agile roller. It wasn't too big, wasn't too heavy, it could easily be put into the car trunk. The stepper wasn't too big either. The size was relatively narrow.
Nagyon jó, kanyarodott, iszonyatos nagy volt az élményfaktor.
So it was really good with the ES8. That's also why I was eagerly awaiting the arrival of this iX6, because I thought that the 1000 watt motor and the larger wheels would make for a much better change. I'll get a better scooter than the previous one. The reality, however, looks a bit different. But before telling you what it's like to ride this scooter, what the experience factor is, let's talk a bit about the specifications first. So, I already mentioned that the motor is 1000 watts. The battery is 17 ampere hours. The manufacturer restricts the speed to 15 miles per hour by default, but this can be unlocked to 28 miles per hour. The range, according to the manufacturer's data, is pretty strong, as it's only a 17 amp hour device. It has a battery. Despite this, it said that it can cover 25 to 28 miles on one charge. They also gave a quite brutal figure for the climbable slope degree, 35 degrees, to give you some point of comparison with the past. The scooter tested last week, which was 2000 watts and dual motor, was set to climb a 20-degree slope, which basically was accurate. Things I haven't talked about. For example, the lights on this scooter. Front and back lights, of course, a normal LED spotlight in the front and a red light at the back, which is neither too big nor too bright. This red light naturally serves as the brake light as well. Additionally, on the rear mudguard you will find two more lights. Brake lights on both sides. These will be the indicators, also in red and not very visible either. That little extra that's needed for the design, on top of the Performer, there are two lights shining in blue, with really good looking and not too flashy brakes. I haven't talked about the brakes yet. They are basically the same as the ones found on the ES80. Disc brakes, of course, in particular the semi-images. The mechanical target. Regarding the design, what's very important in my opinion, that there's a solid cast neck on the scooter, which is great for preventing fractures and other injuries. It's much less vulnerable than screw-based neck frames. Another very important aspect is that that is not a frame neck that bends when you fold the scooter, but the handlebar stem that you can fold down. It's also very important that the handlebar stem is foldable. In regular crab service, many say it's not a good solution because of the screws that hold it. These handlebar horns, they can wear out and they can loosen, and then the horns will wobble. That's the whole thing. After all, it might be so. If you want, you can put a fixed handlebar on it, replace that removable part on it. I can definitely say that if you need to pack it frequently. Then this foldable handlebar is a huge help, because the scooter takes up much less space. And then just with the specs. Two things remained. One is the net mass of the scooter, which is 27 kilograms. I think this is in case of a full review, absolutely good. The other is the load capacity, which is again a bit of an extreme figure, as the manufacturer specifies 150 kilograms. While scooters above a certain size usually stop at around 120 kilograms, this one handles up to 150 kilograms, which is a bit. You need to handle it cleverly here. Every test, every presentation starts with me explaining how to fold the scooter and how to assemble it. Well, I'm not going to deal with this at all in this video, since this scooter is absolutely not. As I said, you need to fold up the handlebar, fold up the horns, and then we start assembling in 4 whole parts. You're ready. After this, there's nothing else to do but check the tire pressure, make sure the brakes work, and if everything's fine, you can start your first trial. Okay, we've got this far, so I've already said a few words about the assembly, which doesn't exist. Talked about the specifications that do exist, and haven't yet talked about what's there, what it's like to ride the scooter. And obviously, that's what everyone is most interested in. For starters, I can say that the X6 was somewhat of a disappointment. And I was disappointed because I expected something stronger and more agile compared to its ES8 500W motor. After all, there are 1,000 here. However, those two engines cannot be compared. The ES8's 500-watt motor is a very good one. It had a zippy dynamic motor, slightly weaker than this 1,000-watt one, but this 1,000-watt motor, on the other hand, doesn't. It's so agile and doesn't have that much torque, and it doesn't want to accelerate that much, and it doesn't want to slip away. Our scooter, like with the ES8, on the one hand, good second time. If you're looking for a scooter that sifts through a ton of data, for those who want to go out into the woods to play and speed at 40 to 45, this scooter won't be good. But for someone who loves, would you like? Small. Wandering in the forest is one thing, but urban terrain is what suits him best. It's going to be really great for him. The shock absorber is really great, yet what I can say is that the X6, however, isn't quite the creator. Gravel paths, country roads, beaten tracks, relatively good quality, walking paths, absolutely, it's suitable. But still, it's more of an urban scooter. It's meant for getting from A to B comfortably, but not as boringly as you would on a regular scooter. I would give this scooter away, because of this reason. It's exciting. After all, 40 kilometers per hour is the top speed. It's achievable. Of course, only if it's not a problem for you, that the range in exchange will decrease. Because actually, this scooter, it's not just that it's unsuitable for off-roading, but that it's nowhere near the stated range. Basically, we get the usual stuff. We have to halve the factory range, and then we're good. To reach the actual range, this actual range jumps when used very thoughtfully, on rough terrain. Using the light continuously at maximum speed, I got 17 kilometers. So not 40 or 45, but 17. This is very modest. If you're lighter than me, or if you don't insist on always being on top. If you push the scooter off-road, in my opinion, the 20 kilometers can indeed be reached. And this 20 kilometers is what I consider a realistic figure. So I think if you're one of those, if you're looking for quality, one, it's a bit exciting. You're looking for something that adds a little spice. You can also get adrenaline into your blood if you use it, but if you're not keen on having the horse jump out of you to have your head come off at the start, then an iX6 like this is perfectly fine for you. Of course, that's if 20 kilometers of power is enough. According to factory data, the battery can be fully charged from zero in about 7 to 8 hours, which is good news because I think it doesn't take that long, I'd say. 6 to 7 hours is what it takes to charge from zero. This is good because if you commute with such a scooter and you have an 8-hour workday, then in those 8 hours, during work, if you plug it into charge, then it was able to charge from 0 to 100% completely. This practically means that you can count both there and back on a 20 kilometer power. How about the iX6 overall? Well, I must say, it's the friendliest 1000 watt scooter of recent times. It provides that little bit of excitement that's very important to me. While skating, your pants don't constantly get striped, so there's no need to worry about that. When you fall off it, when you fall under a car, you shouldn't be concerned with holding yourself back. If it's enough for you to just go to work, with a speed of around 20 to 25-30 kilometers per hour, this scooter will be yours, and you'll really enjoy it. That's about all I can add. I definitely recommend you read my written article too. You'll find it on YouTube. You can find a bit more information under the video on YouTube than what you can understand now. Obviously, I'll also place the link to purchase the iX6 below the video. I'll also give you a coupon code so you can buy it at the best possible price. Take care, and I'll be back next week with another video. Hi there!